First of all, I'd like to open by thanking you, the media. We've got to get a message out there. The city's heart is out with the city of Memphis. The tragedies they've experienced the last 2 weeks are heartbreaking. The second thing I want to do is let you know what's going on in our city with the recovery of guns. 52 guns in August, with a lot being taken from career criminals. Over 1,700 guns in the last 3 years have been recovered, illegal guns. That's a serious issue. Today, I've invited the state's attorney, Dave Aronberg. We've got an unbelievable partnership. The mayor's here to speak about his support of the police department and our projects. And I've got Angela Williams here. Angela Williams is the founder of MAMA. She's interviewed over 500 mothers who lost victims to gun violence. She'll be open for questions, and she's an advisor for you from the community, which is a very important advisor. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the men and women of the West Palm Beach Police Department. These have been tough times. People have been very critical of the police, and it's important that we have that criticalness. But the issue is they're out there every day risking their lives. And you can see these pictures here. The 52 guns we recovered are open cases right now. We're not going to put them on display, but we put guns on display that we recovered that are similar to the guns that were seized, just so you get an idea of how big this problem truly is. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mayor Keith James.
Thank you, Chief. And I, too, want to extend to the city of Memphis my condolences, sincere condolences. Our hearts and prayers are with you. Being the mayor of a city, when you have incidents that occur in your city of that scope and that nature back to back, it is very disheartening. But thank you, everyone, for coming. Good morning. What we are going to discuss today is the work of a very fine police department, very fine work by a group of very fine ladies and gentlemen in blue who risk their life for us each and every day. This is another step forward in our pledge to keeping West Palm Beach safe. I often say that public safety is job one in our city. Ours is a beautiful city. It's an inviting city, and through the work of West Palm Beach Police Department, it is a safe city. We are committed to ensuring the highest quality of life for every resident, every business owner, every visitor that comes to our city, and the West Palm Beach Police Department has certainly made tremendous progress in that regard. Over the past month, the commendable work of the men and women of our police department has delivered significant results. As Chief Morris said, more than 50 illegal guns that could have ended up in the wrong hands are now off the streets. I'd also like to thank my friend and our state attorney, David Aronberg, for joining us this morning. The partnership with his office is critical to ensuring that those who come to our city with intent to commit crimes will be held accountable. Also joining us today is Angela Williams. Through her foundation, Mothers Against Murderers Association, this incredible woman has helped countless individuals who have endured senseless losses. Thank you, Angela, for all your hard work and dedication. We truly appreciate you and all that you do. While we take a moment to reflect on the accomplishments of today's numbers, our work is not done. We will continue to work together with our law enforcement partners to make West Palm Beach an even safer place to live, work, and play. And at this time, I'd like to turn the mic over to State Attorney Dave Aronberg.
Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. I'm Dave Aronberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County. I'm honored to stand arm in arm with members of law enforcement. I want to thank Mayor James. I want to thank Chief Morris and Chief Adderley and the dedicated men and women of the West Palm Beach Police. Together we work hard to keep our community safe, and I'm here today to emphasize that the #1 priority of the State Attorney's Office is to ensure the safety of our streets, and that means getting illegal guns off our streets. And you see the product of the work of our brave men and women of law enforcement here today. It is important to know that under the law that nearly all criminal defendants are entitled to pretrial release. They're entitled to a bond. And it can be frustrating that some defendants get a low bond, lower than we asked for in court. But even in cases where there's a high bond, many defendants are able to bond out and be back on the streets pending trial. That's our current system, and our current system can be frustrating. But there are also some real signs of success and progress. Like last week, for the first time in history, our office had 4 murder convictions in just 1 week. And since I've been state attorney, we've been able to raise our conviction rates in the state from 20th out of 20 of state attorney's offices to 3rd out of 20. So we are making progress, but look, I'm not naive to think that mission accomplished. There is clearly more work to be done. But together with the partnership that we have with the West Palm Beach Police Department, we're going to continue to make our community a safe place to live. So thank you for having me here today, and thank you to all of you in attendance. We're all in this together.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the cases this month that we arrested and some of the histories. As the state's attorney said, we've got a great relationship with them. Some of the things that are out of control. The state's attorney's office has got a tough job, a very tough job. The state's attorneys right now, the way the system's set up, it makes it very difficult, very trying, and sometimes frustrating. What we're going to talk about today is our arrest over this month, and the concern we had was the release dates, something that I need you to work with. The state's attorney's working with us, everybody's working together, and we'll come up with a resolution, we'll come up with a conclusion, something to make our city safer and our streets safer. First one, Caesar Caston, 40. He was charged with discharging a firearm in public. He was arrested on 8/2/22. He was released on 8/3/22. Second, Major Bernard, 19. He was charged with possession of a firearm during a felony, possession of marijuana with intent to sell. Arrest date 8/5/22, release date 8/5/22. Armando Walker Sr., charged carrying a concealed firearm during possession of marijuana with intent to sell, trafficking in cocaine. Arrest date 8/6/22, release date 8/11/22. Caprice Dawkins, age 24, possession of firearm during any felony, shooting into a building, burglary to a dwelling or structure, caused damage over $1,000. Arrest date 8/6/22, release date 8/20/22. Beckel Wilson, 25, charged carrying a concealed weapon during a commission of a felony, marijuana possession with intent to sell, and carrying a concealed firearm. Arrest date 8/6/22, release date 8/7/22. Elvins Thompson, 24, carrying a concealed weapon. Arrest date 8/16/22, release date 8/17/22. Christopher Minor, 35, aggravated assault with a firearm, improper exhibition of a dangerous weapon or firearm, open carrying of a prohibited weapon, aggravated assault with a firearm. Arrest date 8/12/22, release date 8/14/22. 16-year-old juvenile, robbery with a firearm ×2, 2 times, aggravated battery, deadly weapon, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Arrest date 8/30, expected release date 9/19/22. And those are guidelines on holding juveniles. That's why he's got the release date. Willie Gibson, 22, charged possession of a firearm on school property. Arrest date 8/27/22, release date 8/28/22. Davius Banks, 25, unlicensed carrying of a concealed weapon. Arrest date 8/29/22, release date 8/29/22. Tremine Hawthorne, 23, unlicensed carrying of a concealed firearm, possession of marijuana not more than 20 grams, resisting officer without violence, driving while license suspended, revoked, canceled, or knowledge. Arrest date 8/20/22, release date 8/21/22. Kevin Wilbaum, 18, unlicensed carrying of a concealed weapon, arrest date 8/17/22, release date 8/18/22. DeMonte McCroy, 31, Florida felony in possession of a firearm or ammunition, arrest date 8/9/22, release date 8/9/22. Next. Alfred Brown, 28, felony in possession of a firearm or ammunition, possession of marijuana not more than 20 grams, alter, remove serial number, driving while license suspended, revoked, canceled with knowledge. Arrest date 8/8/22. Release date 8/30/22. Eric Carter, 39, false imprisonment, adult, Florida felon in possession of firearm or ammunition. Actual possession, battery domestic. Arrest date 8/21/22. Release date 9/6/22. 6th-time convicted felon. Tony Baker, 30, felon in possession of firearm or ammunition. Driving while license suspended, revoked. Canceled with knowledge, registered motor vehicle. Arrest date 8/1/22. He's still in custody, a 7th-time convicted felon. Gregory Stewart, 18, possessing a weapon or ammunition by a Florida delinquent adult felony. Arrest date 8/9/22. Release date 8/10/22. 7-time convicted felon. Illegal gun seized by the West Palm Beach Police for last month, August, 52. 50 handguns, 2 long guns. Reason why I wanted to call this press conference today, with the support of the mayor and the state's attorney's offices, the state's attorney's office and the West Palm Beach Department are partners. We're doing everything in our power. What we need is a look at where the system's failing and to make the adjustments that need to be done so people that are committing these crimes stay incarcerated. I thank you. We'll be available for questions if you have them.
Thank you, Chief and Assistant Chief, Mayor, State Attorney David Aronberg. 2003, I lost my nephew, Torrey Darnell Manuel. New Year's Day, he was shot with the AK-47 7 times where he resided at. Additional to that, I lost 22 other family members to gun violence, so I lost 23 family members to gun violence. This year alone, I lost 2 family members to gun violence, 2 young ladies. I have attended 486 funerals here in Palm Beach County. I have mothers come into my office bi-weekly screaming their loved one's name. And this week alone, I'll be attending another funeral of a 15-year-old boy that was killed here in West Palm Beach. I'm begging and pleading to the community, stop the violence. These families are hurting. These mothers never the same after losing a child to gun violence. It's senseless. Why pull that trigger? Think before you pull that trigger. That could be your mother that's hurting today, like these other mothers are hurting. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. Have a good day.
We have any questions at all?
You said that one of the reasons you're here is to see what can be done to keep these felons behind bars. What do you think can be done? Where should we start? What's your...
Getting the word out. I mean, right now, it's out there, the booking blotters, the press. Nationwide, take a look at what's going on in New York, Chicago. It's an epidemic. Violent crime and offenders are just being released left and right. And again, the prosecutors are doing their job. We've got to find out where the failure's at. And there's definitely a failure. Our city, we're lucky. We don't have the problems other cities do. But every time you turn on the news, look at Memphis. The woman that was attacked, a school teacher jogging. Look at his criminal history. Look at last night's incident where a whole city, the city of Memphis, was on lockdown. I can't even imagine that. Look at his criminal history. And everybody that Mr. Aronberg and his staff works hard to prosecute and send away, look at their histories. Who's letting them out? It's not the state's attorney's office. It's not the police department. That's what I need found out. And people need to be held accountable. Simple as that. We're not here to point the finger. What I need your help is let's fix the problem. The only way we're going to make our community safe is take criminals off the street. We got to spend a lot less time focusing on all these annex. Let's address the criminals. Let's address them for who they are. If they've been convicted 7 times, when does it become a point when they're not safe on the street? We've got to protect ourselves. And that's reality. So what we really need to do, and what I'm looking for the community to do, is community in West Palm Beach supports the police. We've got a great community. We've proven that time and time again with the protests and the things that have happened here. But what I need is the word out. It's not acceptable that we're putting all this effort in and the state's attorney's office is doing all their thing. And next thing you know, you see these guys out in one day. Look at their backgrounds. And let's get them help if they need it. Let's do the right things. But more importantly, Let's protect our community. And we can't protect our community releasing people like this. It doesn't work.
How do those system changes happen? I mean, I know you said involving the community, but beyond that, like how do those changes within the system happen to, in your opinion, you're saying keep them in longer?
Well, I think you can speak for this. State's Attorney's Office, we got to get those attorneys raises. We really do. We got to make their lifestyle livable. Our state's attorneys in this state are very underpaid. That's a problem in itself. The second part of it is the criminal justice system. We've got to turn around and figure out alternatives. You know, you can't lock somebody up for 30 years and let them out and expect them to function normally in society. We've got to put the money where it needs to go. And where it needs to go, if we believe in rehabilitation, which I do, the money's got to go to rehabilitation. The money's got to go to prosecution. The money's got to go to the right places. We could throw Band-Aids on all the different things, but I think what we really need to do is ask Mr. Aronberg what he needs and get him what he needs.
Thank you, Chief Morris. Yeah, raises for prosecutors would help. That would be great. The attrition is high in this job market because the private firms are recruiting our people away, and because of the COVID backlog, we have so many cases built up that our prosecutors can easily get burned out. And this is the toughest time since I've been state attorney when it comes to employee recruitment and retention. And it's because of the inflation without an equal amount of raises. It's because of the private market raising their rates and the cost of living, as I mentioned, but also because of the increased workload. And the increased workload comes from a backlog of cases post-COVID. One thing you mentioned that's interesting is that I think is important is that if we can get the message to the community to say something if they see something, and if they become a witness, please cooperate. If they become a victim, please cooperate. There was an arrest just recently of an individual who shot someone on Clematis Street, and some people are wondering, hey, why was he not prosecuted on his most recent case of domestic violence? And the reason is because, unfortunately, the victim did not cooperate. In fact, in most of our domestic violence cases, a majority of them, the victim refuses to cooperate. And so we were unable to file charges in that case, and so he's back on the streets, a habitual offender, and allegedly commits this awful crime. Ironically, we had even filed paperwork to try to get him back in custody just days before he allegedly shot someone on Clematis Street. That's as much as I could say about a pending case, but it just echoes some of the frustration we have as prosecutors because we really need cooperation from witnesses and victims so we could do our jobs and keep our streets safe.
Cooperation, how big of a deal is that? What does it hinder you doing in your position?
Yeah. For example, in domestic violence cases, when you have a majority of victims refusing to cooperate, it means the case usually goes away. Not always. If we can develop independent evidence, we will still prosecute the case. That's one of our policies. But in domestic violence is a good example because that's a gateway crime. There's a pattern where someone commits domestic violence and then goes on to commit an attempted murder somewhere else. Domestic violence is bad enough as it is, but it's also proven to be a link to other crimes. And so in those cases, we have evidence. Someone calls 911 and the police arrive and they're removed from the situation, and then days later they forget what happened. And that is so frustrating because our prosecutors are only as good as our witnesses and our victims.
So are
Yes.
you saying, when you say you want to reach out to the community, that if they are a witness of a crime, to stick with it? Because if they don't, you have to release them.
Correct. And I know there are reasons why witnesses and victims don't want to step forward. They're scared, and I get it. But there are ways to protect them. And if they're not willing to speak up, then these defendants go free to commit more crimes. And I get why Chief Morris is so frustrated. I mean, look, his men and women of law enforcement risk their lives every day, put their lives on the line, and then it's frustrating to see people let out. Now, keep in mind, the people let out in that diagram, that's just pretrial release. Those folks are not let out for good. They're just let out pending trial. So we're going to be prosecuting them, which is why I can't talk to the specifics. But I get it. The system gives pretrial release bond to nearly every defendant. That's the law. That's our system. But I understand the frustration when you start seeing these frequent flyers over and over again. And I'm just here to show our solidarity with law enforcement. There are other communities, as we know, across the country where there is a combative relationship between police and the local district attorney. I'm not going to have to mention the cities, but we've seen them. We've seen it in the news plenty of times. The reason why you don't see large shoplifting rings here in Palm Beach County is because we prosecute shoplifting here. We don't decriminalize some of these offenses that may have been decriminalized in other communities. And so I think it's important to show the partnership that we have together. We just need the public to work with us, and we will continue to do our jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you guys so much.